Today we are making a cranberry walnut sourdough loaf. Look at how beautiful this crumb is, and I will show you exactly how to make this. You will need 125 grams of active sourdough starter, 350 grams of filtered water. You want to mix these two together until the starter is dissolved or mostly dissolved. Then you will add 500 grams of flour and 10 grams of salt. I do use the Kirkland all-purpose flour, but you can also use bread flour if that's what you have. You go ahead and mix everything together until there are no pockets of flour left over. Once you're done mixing your dough, you want to go ahead and roast your walnuts. You will roast them for 10 minutes at 350 degrees, and you will let them fully cool down before adding them to your dough on the first set of stretch and folds. This is what it looks like. I just put it on a parchment paper and baked them for 10 minutes. This is going to help the walnuts not have that like raw flavor or taste. Roasting them will allow you to just taste that nutty flavor, and it'll complement the cranberries so much more. So I did use the dried cranberries. If you use the fresh ones, I feel like it'll make your dough too wet and just weird. So here I am just adding both of the inclusions evenly onto my dough. I go ahead and stretch the dough and fold it over, and then I add more of the inclusions as I go all around the bulb in between each set of stretch and folds. I like to cut the big pieces of walnuts into smaller pieces. That way I don't have huge chunks of walnut, and they could be just distributed evenly and essentially have more pieces throughout the dough. So you go ahead and do that on your first set of stretch and folds. Let the dough rest for another 30 minutes, and then we do our second and third set of stretch and folds. This is the second set of stretch and folds, and I am not adding any more inclusions. I did add about 100 grams of cranberries and 100 grams of the walnuts. Maybe it's a lot for some people, but I feel like I like my loaves to have a lot of inclusions, so that's why I added 100 grams of each. So now I am gently trying to do some stretch and folds. I take the temperature of my dough and I let my dough rest for another 30 minutes. So now on to the third set. I am just going to do some gentle coil folds. That way the walnuts don't tear the dough. So I am trying to be very, very gentle. I didn't do a fourth set because I didn't need to. My dough was holding up pretty well. So after the third set, I let the dough bulk ferment on my counter until it was ready to be shaped. We are now ready to shape our dough. You can see all of the inclusions in the dough. I'm super excited for this loaf. It turned out so beautiful. And here I am just dumping the dough. I am not going to laminate this dough. I never do. I feel like if I laminate, I am just deflating my dough and all of the progress it has made. So I just like to shape it really quick, and I let it rest on the counter just for a few minutes. And then I do my final shape. I do a single catty clasp. I go ahead and put my dough into my banneton and I put it in the refrigerator so it can cold proof. I leave it in the refrigerator from 12 hours to 18, maybe even more depending on my schedule. One of my favorite things to do is to look at my dough before I put it into the refrigerator, like now, and how small it is, and then what it looks like once it's done cold proofing. It gets so much bigger and it just makes me so happy because I feel like it fermented so well in the refrigerator, and I'm just super excited to bake it. Look at how much this dough filled my banneton. And now I have my oven preheated to 450 degrees with my Dutch oven inside. I go ahead and score my dough, bake this dough for 30 minutes with the lid on, and then 10 to 15 minutes with the lid off, depending on how toasty you want the outside. Once I take off the lid from my Dutch oven, I like to rotate the Dutch oven so the front is towards the back, so the dough can brown evenly. And then after about 10 to 15 minutes, this is what the dough, or my loaf, looks like, I should say. It came out perfect, and let me show you guys the crumb. I love the crumb of this loaf. It was so fluffy, so airy, but still full of inclusions. Look at how fluffy and soft and aerated this loaf looks. I hope you guys give this recipe a try. Roasting the walnuts definitely changes the flavor in this loaf. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Comment, like, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.